This episode of the Grappler Union podcast is brought to you by BJJTees. Go to bjjtees.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjtees.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu-Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH, the number 9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union podcast. Paul Maloney alongside Anthony Zito. On this episode, we have Hannette Staack in studio. Hannette is a 4th degree black belt under Andre Negao. She's a 7th-time world champion, 3-time ADCC champ, and she's the co-founder of Brazil 021. Enjoy.
I hate the 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You taught me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right,
We're live. And I was just saying, I was telling Hannette that from like day one, we started this podcast, I think it was like top 10. We're like, how could you have a Chicago podcast and not have Hannette on? And we're like, we're trying. We're trying.
Finally, we put this together.
Yes, we did. But you know, I met you with my cousin, Tommy.
Oh, wow.
At Chicago Open.
Chicago Open?
Yes. You know Tommy G, of course.
Tommy G.
From Carlson.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yes. That's my cousin, yeah.
My God.
Yeah.
Such a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. Real nice guy.
It's funny.
So,
How old is Tommy? It's so weird
70.
to think that he's your cousin.
he's 70.
He's 70 now? Wow.
Good for him.
Yeah.
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 And still doing jiu-jitsu.
Still
Black
doing
belt
jiu-jitsu.
now.
Black belt.
I can't believe I met him as a white belt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
You
That
were
is
a white
crazy.
belt?
No, he was
a white belt. Because I'm like, you're 3rd degree. So,
Fourth.
Yeah. 4th degree?
I just got my 4th degree in the end of the year.
Oh, you should update your website.
I know, right?
'Cause
Yeah.
I was just looking at it.
Yes. It was like a recently one.
Is it?
Yeah.
So 4th degree. So you've been doing jiu-jitsu. So how long you been a black belt?
14 years.
14 years.
Wow. So old.
That's gangsta.
Oh, my
You're not
God.
as old as me. That's what's so sad. 1979.
1979.
Yeah, you're still in
yes.
your 30s.
I was born in 75.
75. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
good.
awesome.
That's good. 70s. That's where you got to be.
Yeah. 7 is an awesome time.
Great time.
Right?
Paul's an 80s baby.
I'm an 80s baby.
yeah.
So
So back from Brazil.
Back from
So
Brazil.
do you normally go to Brazil every year? Is
I
that like
try to. Like sometimes like twice a year, but at least one time a year. Because I still have my family there, my mom, my dad. My dad lives like in another state, so it's like a kind of like a hard to get everybody in one trip. It's like too many requests. Like, oh, you didn't come here. Like, how come you went there and you didn't come here? It's like every time.
Yeah.
We always have like, complaints.
And you were, because I followed you on Instagram, I know we were talking about it, but you had this like bowl of acai that you were
Yeah. So awesome. So
I want
awesome.
to taste that acai.
Oh my God, we have to
That's
make a
what I-
plan, like make a trip. That'll be awesome.
To Brazil?
Yeah.
How long is that plane ride?
Well, from here to, I would say from here to Rio, it takes like about 12 hours.
Okay.
It's like, if you go to Houston, then it's like 2 hours to Houston, 2 hours and a half, and then 10 more hours like to Brazil.
There's no direct from Chicago to...
Unfortunately, no. Like we have like a direct from Chicago to São Paulo, but then you have to take another flight from São Paulo to Rio. But where my dad lives is like close to the Amazon, so it's like basically like let's say if you go from here to Rio, then you have like the 12 hours flight, and then once you get to Rio, then it's like a 3 hours and a half flight, and then once you get there, like this place, Maranhão. So to go to my dad's place, my dad lives like kind of like in a farm, like in the middle of nowhere. So you have to take a bus. Actually, first you have to take like a cab to like the bus station. Then you take the bus to the ferry boat, and then you take a ferry boat, and then you take the bus again. So it's basically the whole day traveling.
that is awesome. Yes.
So that's why you're there for like a month,
Right.
You can't go there for like a weekend.
No way.
It's like I told my dad, like I'm coming for like 7 days. He's like, oh no, it's better not to come because 7 days days is like
not
you know
enough time.
It's not
it's like basically like the whole day traveling. So you like
Yeah.
you lose kind of like a day and a half.
Yeah.
Because what's the
and-
time difference also?
It's like right now it's like a 4 hours difference.
4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours because like they
Behind
have
us,
like the saving lights like
Oh,
the
yeah.
the savings.
So,
So
is,
your dad is an acai farmer, right?
Yes.
So Zito, we have an acai expert in studio with us. So I want to dive into this.
Please.
Okay. So how do you make your acai? Because I make acai almost every day, and I just do it the way, like I use frozen grapes and then the acai with the blender, and it's pretty damn good.
now he tells
But
me I do
maybe
it the ghetto way. So what I
Ghetto.
do is I have, what do you call it?
Sambazon.
Sambazon. So I take that and I heat up a little bit, crack it, and I put that in a bowl.
Right.
And then I put granola.
When you
and
say heat it up, you're talking about just enough so
Just-
the acai breaks away from the
the
plastic.
package, exactly. So I heat up
Right.
a little, in water. So
Run
it
I'll
under the
crack
water
it,
for 5
Then
seconds.
I'll just break that up into a bowl.
Right.
Throw some granola, and then I threw some almond
Just
butter.
like this, you don't put anything
Nothing else, and I just eat it like that.
Really?
Not even in a blender?
Not even in a blender.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Right?
So he calls me. He
Interesting.
calls me a little ghetto for
Hannette,
that.
you could judge him. You're allowed
Oh,
to
I
judge
am.
him.
So is that ghetto or?
Yes, dude,
Oh.
you're eating blocks of ice?
Yes, basically.
That's so weird.
I would tell like basically like the first thing like you know like if you have like the mixed, you know, like you don't have like the real acai like because you have to, for me like you have to taste the acai like you know like the fruit. It's like the taste is like it's very like the way I eat like over there. Of course, I cannot eat like this everywhere because like they come here already like frozen, right?
Right.
Like, but over there, like I eat like a fresh, so it's like a completely different like taste.
Right.
Is it
And
warm? It's got to be warm.
It's kind of warm
right?
because
Yeah.
like the way they do like it's like I don't know if you ever saw like a basically it's this. This is like the acai seed.
Oh, okay.
You see?
Your
Yeah.
necklace.
That's
Wow.
how much I love acai on my necklace. So you see, like it's almost like a little coconut.
Right.
So it's like the pulp is like a very thin. It's a very thin layer, you know, like on top. So you have to put like a warm water first, just to kind of like you know make it softer, and then you put in this blender, which is like it will separate the pulp from the seed, and it's like you know it's very thin. So if you see like the that's how much like you know like a it's like a that big, so it's like a not like a lot of like a pulp.
Right.
So then over there I'll eat like this. So I would just like right after they put like the pulp is coming out, that's how I'll eat.
Wow.
So like they have like a different ways to eat over there. But basically the way I do here is like, and I get the raw one, like the pure, like without anything. I add like a banana, sometimes coconut water, because I don't like the you know the ready ones. I like the fresh ones. So like sometimes I mix with water because then I can really taste the acai flavor. Banana, dates to make it sweet.
Okay.
You like that?
Yeah. That's what I like.
And acai, that's it.
Now that's all in the blender.
All in the blender.
All in the blender.
Yes.
Oh, bananas in the blender too.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Ah, so it's not like banana on top.
I could,
You could,
but
right?
like you
Yeah.
know, like it's just give you like the you know
So it's like a
the,
shake.
Yeah, it's like it gives like the texture, you know.
Yeah,
But I put like a lot of acai. Normally when I make like my bowls, like I put like I use like almost like 16 packs of acai.
16.
Yeah.
Right.
So
exactly. Yeah.
So it's like a lot.
See,
I use 2 packs. That's
Here-
it.
right.
Then I'm
Two
good
packs.
for the.
If I'm making for myself, I would use at least 4.
Okay. Wow.
At least 4.
See, here's what
Yeah.
I do, Hannette, and you're allowed to judge me on this as well.
Now Paul sent me a photo. Like he's at lunch and he sends me a photo, and it looks fantastic. It's pretty.
I went to see it.
I don't know where it's at. My phone's out there.
So
But
I use frozen grapes as a base, like a substrate, because I'm not gonna do 8 packages of acai. You know what I mean? I like to make them
What about
last.
like a blueberries?
Blueberries? Okay, I'll take you up on that. See, I use grapes because there's a lot in there, and you could freeze them so they're almost like ice cubes, so you could get that kind of like really cold consistency, and they're not overpowering. You can still taste the acai with them.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
I do like about a cup and a half of frozen grapes, 2 packages of acai original, and a half a banana. And I just and it takes about 2 minutes in the blender, and you're plunging it and plunging it, and you gotta
How's
have
the consistency? Like a
beautiful consistency, you know.
Nice.
Really thick, but no chunks. Right?
nice. Oh, that's good. That looks good.
Pretty good, right? Okay. And
I want you to eat.
So you
Hungry
wanted
now.
to. So for me, and then if it's really hard to blend, I'll add just a little bit of coconut milk, just a splash to give it some But you want to be able to kind of you got to scrape it out of the blender with a spoon. You can't pour it out.
Exactly.
You know what I mean, right?
Exactly.
See,
Yeah.
Hannette?
Getting that consistency. is
Exactly.
And that's why, for mine, I have to use a lot of mini packs. Mini packs.
Right. And so I decorate it with some granola. Okay. I use the other half of the banana for the slices of banana on top. Coconut flakes, cacao nib, and a spoonful of almond butter.
That sounds delicious.
Am I on the right page here?
Yeah.
It looks pretty.
Do you approve this?
Yeah, the only thing I'm not so sure is about the coconut milk.
Okay.
Yeah, because
That's
I feel
when my arm gets tired of plunging at it.
Yeah.
I just go, okay, come on.
Yeah, I
How long
would
does it take?
About 2 minutes.
Wow,
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
I'm gonna try that though. It's 8 straight. So I'm gonna cut out the grapes and just go straight acai next time. Yeah.
In a Vitamix? Do you use Vitamix?
I
blender?
use the Ninja. I have
the
a Ninja. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Ninja. Sometimes it takes a while because I don't know. Just to get the right consistency.
Exactly. Yeah, I have a Vitamix. It and I put it to work because it's a damn expensive blender. And I feel like I've got my money's worth out of it because I did kale shakes every day for about 2.5 years, and now
good.
and I've probably
I love
made
kale.
over 70 acai bowls with it.
awesome.
So
Nice.
I feel like it's worth. It's $400 blender. I feel like I'm.
Dang,
I'm
that's
got it.
expensive.
Right?
That's a good one, right?
Yeah, you
It's a
don't
good
want
one.
that thing just sitting in the drawer.
No.
No,
Use that
yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Jeez.
Have to put it to work.
So when you go to, because we've had acai at places, Chicago Open, Master Worlds. You went out to Nogi Worlds and said it was just not good at all, right? Yeah,
It's terrible.
Nobody cares about the Nogi culture.
No.
They're like, whatever.
IBJJF's like,
Nogi, those guys will eat anything.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be hungry.
But Master
They have
Worlds
to
was good.
actually cut more weight though. Some people cut weight for ghee.
or some people go up in weight.
Yeah, exactly. Because no ghee, the cut off weight's so lower.
So Hannette, where's the best place to buy acai around here? I mean, if you're using 8 packages per mix, I mean, that's
I used
costly.
to I used to buy at Whole Foods, but it's so expensive there. The last time I bought there, I think I paid $8.99 for the 1 pack. So I found this place is close to it's a fresh market close. It's right across the street from the Brazilian place called Brazil Legal here in Chicago.
Okay.
And they have this fresh market, and they have that's the only place I actually found the raw acai because they have the mixed one, but I always like the pure one.
Right.
So that's a good place to find out. It's cheaper, and they still give you the discount if you want to buy the whole case.
Do you usually make it for your students? That's something you do?
No.
I was like,
I always
invite me to
think
come over when
about
that's
it's
happening.
I always think about, but I'm so picky with my stuff. I will have to buy I don't know how many packs of acai.
Yeah.
I'll be broke by then.
$5,000 worth
Yeah.
of acai. That's great. Well, I'm glad we talked about this because your dad owns an acai farm. I mean, how often you
Right.
get to,
that's true.
Okay, so I think I need to up my acai game.
And
And
need to
Zito,
go-
you really
I
need to up
really
your
do. I'm
acai
way
game. You are,
behind.
God damn, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have that much time, so it's just quick,
Chewing on the, why don't you just chew on the bars, dude?
Yeah, I do this actually. Yeah,
Do you
I-
really? There you go. That's funny.
Oh man,
So, Hannette, I just read an article about you on Flow Grappling. You're coming back to competition?
Yeah, that's that's the plan. I was planning to come back for a while, but after a while, I'm I love to compete, and I'm always I have the competition in my heart, but life takes you different ways, work and everything. So also I feel it's not fair for me just to continue and take everything for me, because I feel when you compete you have to give your 100%, and you have to be 100% focused in what you what your goal is. So like you cannot actually focus on the students and on the school. So like my life, like I always like did what was best for the majority, like for the group, right? So in 2010, that's like it was the year we like we built Brazil 21 in 2009, but we actually came out with Brazil 21. So Brazil 21 was like born like in 2010, and then like that's why like I made the decision. Okay, so this year I would dedicate myself entirely for like the team and building like the team. Because before it used to be like Hannette Staack, Andre Negao, or Andre Terêncio. So it's like like a different teams in one school.
Right.
So we're like, we have to like, change this because like, if my students were competing, then we'll be like, oh, I want to compete under Hannette.
Right.
So it's not fair. So like we decided to like, let's do something neutral, and then we can have everybody, like no egos, everybody under the same umbrella.
Right.
And that's why we decided to create Brazil 21. So with Brazil 21 came like all the work as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is good. I don't mind. Like, like that's what I chose to do for a living.
So first, I know 021 is a area code in Brazil.
Yes, in Rio.
So did
Yeah.
you know, was there other names before Brazil 21? Were you kind of like throwing stuff at the board?
Yeah.
Like how'd you
I was
land
like,
on 021?
it was like funny because like, I was training for the ADCC 2009.
Okay.
And we're like, in the middle of the training, and then I stopped. I was like, because we were thinking about this for a while, right? Like, we have to make something neutral. We have to like, it's not fair for the students, like, they are confused. So we decide like, so I was like thinking about this for a while. And then during the training, we just stopped, like, I have an idea. And then I got like a piece of paper, and then I draw like, like what was like the logo today,
Right.
like a very like, just kind of like putting some ideas there. And then like Andre, who is my partner and my professor too. So we like sat together and we're like, okay, so like, yeah, I think that looks good. So like we're thinking about the name and like, deciding. So we thought about like a Rio de Janeiro, something like this. And like, we're like, it doesn't make sense. We know we have like a Rio Jiu Jitsu here in Chicago as well. So it's like, it has to be something different. So we're like thinking about like, a way to kind of like make a homage to the place where we are, where embraced us, our school, which is like United States now. Mm-hmm. Also like to remember our roots, which is like, where our jiu-jitsu came from. Right. So that's why we decided to like to do the name Brazil with Z. So Brazil 021 School of Jiu Jitsu. So we decided to keep the name in English, but then like, to have the area code to like remind of our roots. Right, so that was like, that's how it was like basically created. And then like, we made like a lot of sacrifices to make the brand grow and like to make the school grow. But I feel like I was always like giving myself to some like committing myself with like a lot of projects, like and it's not like that I'm saying like it was bad, like that I took time off, but also like there was like a part of me who was like left aside just to wait for this time to to kind of like organize, to get more organized. And now I feel like I can come back and like I just do like this return and just to like kind of like close this cycle of competition. Then we can move on to different projects. I actually have like a lot of projects right now. Like we have, like Brazil 21, which is like my full-time project now, but we have like, the projects in Brazil, the actual projects in Brazil, which is like, takes a lot of time and like a work to have like, those kids. We have like a group of kids now training with us for free, around like 60 kids. Wow. In Brazil. And basically what we do now is like we provide the salary for the instructor there because, they have to make something out of the, he commit his time to the team and like to the kids. So it was like, we're kind of like trying to give him something back as well. But there's a lot of things like, like I'm like working at the same time, but I feel like now I'm back to like to the first shape where I was. Like let's say when I started competing, it's funny how like everything like came like in a cycle and how like everything come back like to the beginning, and that's how that's why I feel it's time for me to do like my return. Right. If that makes sense. Like when I started competing, my first world championship was as a middleweight. And I was like right in the middle of the division, so I was kind of like like I didn't know if like I would go lightweight or if I would stay in the middleweight. But I feel like now I'm like in the best shape of my, like I won't say my life because then they'll be like too, I don't know. But like I would say like I'm like in the best shape for like many years. I feel like I have the time and I have like the people to help me to get there.
Right.
I have my students now, which now is like they're good training material for me, like because they have been competing a lot too. So I feel like it's the right time to do like the comeback. But I mean, like it's not like I always say like my priority is my students, and if it's like something happened and like like I will have to focus, to choose, like or to do my comeback or to like I don't know if I would have to make this decision, but I'm just saying if I would have to make this decision, probably my decision would be towards my students, because like for me like they are more important now.
That's true. So when is your first what's on the schedule? Like what's the first competition come back, or do you have anything planned? So
like I was like planning to like maybe like do like some. It's like hard because like right now is like like there's a lot of tournaments, like a lot of like I wanted to do something special. So, but I didn't like. I don't know if there's like a tournament that I feel like wow, like I really wanted to do this tournament.
Right.
I feel like like if I wanted to do something like my close down or like like the whatever closing the cycle, probably will be at the Worlds.
Yeah.
So yeah, then it will be like with my students. So we all will be on the black belt division. So I think it will be like a
adult black belt.
Yeah.
Of course.
So
gangster.
So,
like just talking, my hands are sweaty already.
now, do you have to develop a certain amount of points throughout the year in order to register?
We do like for the black belts who never like won anything or like but like because I won like 7 world titles, then I won't have to make the points. So I'm already
you're
like
invited
qualified
back whenever you want. They're like,
Yeah.
whenever you want.
At least like a benefit for being like a world champion.
Right. 7 times. Yeah.
7 times.
Come anytime you want.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So that's how that works. Because I know Megaton, he's got to like do all this traveling to get enough points.
Yes.
To enter as an adult, right? Has he never won at adult?
As adults, I don't think so.
Okay, that's why then. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're always invited back if you win as an adult, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Nothing I have to worry about. Or you.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know.
Stop worrying a long time.
There's never anyone really in my division. Well, out here there isn't, but in Masters there is.
Oh yeah? Nice.
They kicked my ass.
Yeah.
I'm still the smallest guy for some reason, even in my division.
Right. I think your brackets will get bigger once you get purple belt, probably.
I would guess like your blue belt now.
Yes.
So I would guess like the blue belts will be like one of the biggest divisions, no?
Not. I think. Well,
100. I'm light feather.
I mean, you're
40
right about that, Hannette. But
something.
he's 40. You're 43 years old. That's master.
No. I'm 42.
42. So I think when you get up into those master divisions, I think maybe there's more purple belts than blue, wouldn't? Maybe no.
Yeah, I don't know, but like because blue belts is always like one of the biggest divisions in like a.
Right.
Yeah, the purple belt people start.
Yeah.
Those are the legit guys. If I can't win it at blue, I'm gonna have a hell of a time winning it at purple.
Yeah.
I feel like the purple belts like when you like really stick with jiu-jitsu, right? Because as a white and blue, you still like kind of like a but like as a purple belt, you really like I made this, like I'm here. I'm not like going away.
No, yeah, not too many purple belts drop off.
Yeah. No. Which is good.
How long did it take you to get your black belt?
Woo, long story.
All right.
We got lots of time.
I actually got promoted fairly quick than like other people, mainly because like the when I started there was not a lot of women training. But I also had I stopped for almost 2 years training because of I had a bad experience with a boyfriend, so I stopped for a while. But I would say if I put those years together, it took me 5 years to get my black belt. But if I take those years, then 3 years and a half basically, because so let's say I started in 1997, and then 1998 I got promoted to 4 months of jiu-jitsu. I got promoted to my blue belt, and then at 5 months of jiu-jitsu I competed the Brazilian nationals, and I took 3rd place. So then I stopped for a while after the Brazilian Nationals for almost 2 years. And then I came back. So I came back, I competed like another tournament. It was kind of like a no-gi tournament. And then like a couple months after, I got promoted to my purple belt.
Wow.
So it was like, fairly quick. I didn't at the time, I didn't want to get promoted. I felt like, I could like still work more as a blue belt. And also like at the time, for the big tournaments, like World Championship, for example, we used to compete purple, brown, black all together. So I was like, that's a big responsibility going to, this big tournament and having to compete like against like a brown, black belt. But then I moved, like my professor stopped teaching because he was a police officer. So he was working on the police a lot. So he didn't have much time. And that's when I really wanted to continue and make jiu-jitsu something. I really wanted to be good in jiu-jitsu. So I looked for one of my instructors. He told me about Andre, who is my professor now. And I went there as a purple belt. I said, I want to be a world champion. He's like, okay, you ready for this? And I'm more than ready for this. And then at the same year, so 2002 is when I moved. I started training with him, in the beginning of 2002. And then actually in the end of 2001, that's when I started training with him. And then 2002, I won the Worlds as a purple belt, competing against purple, brown, black all together. And then in the end of the year, I got promoted to brown belt. Wow. And then as a brown belt, I won again the World Championship. So in the end of the year, I got promoted to my black belt. So basically so 2002 purple, 2003 brown, and 2004 as a black belt.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Great.
So I won the black belt as a end of 2003.
Did you have to compete against purple, brown, and black because there wasn't enough competitors?
I would say because it was for me was it wasn't a big of a difference. At the tournament, let's say the level, I was very dedicated. I was always everything that I did was always very committed. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to be a world champion. So I really whatever I have to do to, to accomplish this goal, just tell me what I have to do and I will do it. I think that's why I progressed faster, but also in terms of sponsorships at the time, especially for women, was really hard to get a sponsorship. And then you look at someone, oh, she's just a purple belt, so it wasn't the same value as someone black belt. Right. And then because I won the tournament, so it's it won't make a huge of a difference because we all compete together anyway. So it's kind of I grew into the belts. And, was also kind of a marketing purpose. Mm-hmm. It's we'll have, won't make it any a big of a difference at the tournament because you're going to compete anyway against all these belts. But in terms of sponsorship, people will look more for you because now you're black belt. Right. Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
I know.
and you've won worlds, 7 times total, right? 7
times total, yes. Wow. So 2002, 2003, 2004, and then 2005 got third, 2006 got second, and then 2007, 8, and 9. No, 7, 8, 9. I already forgot.
Even keep track. Yeah.
It's too many. And then the last one I think was 2011.
And you won ADCC 3 times.
Yes, that was an awesome tournament.
What was harder to win?
I think the ADCC was kind of the one. It was the first one that made me famous. It was kind of at the peak of my career because it was when I moved to US, right at the time, and people here in US, they would know me because I saw her competing. I actually got a lot of people I was there at the in the New Jersey to see you competing at the ADCC. Many years after, I was wow, that's amazing. But that was the tournament that made me more known here in United States. But I would say difficulty. I would say like the gis, for me, it's harder. The rules in the ADCC is like a little different, which like, I had to kind of like prepare a little different for the tournament. But I love, like all attacks from the legs. And I feel like, IBJJF, sometimes they miss a couple of things because they don't allow certain techniques. And now with the reaping and
Right.
So let's say, if you go to the ADCC, someone put you in the 50-50, you go to a heel hook.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Someone puts you in the 50-50, in the IBJJF, you're going to be like at the 10 minutes of
You
the
sit
match.
there for
Right.
you sit there until
Right.
the bell rings.
Yeah,
It's awful.
and I just keep thinking like, what about if like we allowed like, like a heel hooks, like in this
Change. It would change the whole
it
game.
would change everything, right?
It would change the whole.
Exactly. So that's like
IBJJF,
right? Exactly. So it's like I feel like sometimes like just to be more dynamic. Although I like the rules, I think the rules sometimes like they are very complex
They are.
for the sport. And like I've been to like the rules clinic, and like my professor is also like one of the coordinators for the IBJJF as a referee. And like every time when he start talking about the rules, I'm like, why? Like, some
Right.
things is like, it just like, it doesn't make sense. The guy's on the bottom, he went to the top and no points. The guy
Right.
did all this work for nothing.
Right.
So it's like, we always have this argument.
Yeah, it is very complex. I mean,
Right?
just in the past, whatever year plus that we've been doing the podcast and going and competing, it's so complex. And I can appreciate the complexity because I get crazy in my head sometimes, with complex things and stuff like that. So, but sometimes you're just like, can we just peel the onion away and let's just get to let's just
Yeah.
make it less complex? Because there's some bad calls.
Exactly.
And people lose. And, Paul and I were like watching this one match where, this poor kid was like crying. He was clearly from Brazil.
He was an adult.
He was an adult.
He wasn't a kid.
He wasn't a kid. He was an adult. But still, he probably traveled from Brazil, spent whatever kind of money and sponsorship just to be there, and then lost on a technicality. I'll put that in quotes. And he didn't know what was going on. And he's just sitting there, and you feel bad for him. But you're kind of like,
Purple belt, Masters Division, not going to change your life. You know what I mean?
for sure, not going to change your life. But
Yeah, but
I hear you, but
the rules are very. There's
They
no
are.
way everyone knows all those rules.
Oh, no.
There's no way.
No.
You can't.
And even like sometimes like I feel like and I have like a lot of respect for the referees because that's a hard work.
It's gotta be
I
so
would
hard.
not want to be on their
Never.
positions.
Worst job in the world.
Oh my
job.
goodness,
God.
The
no,
worst
thank
job,
you.
Those refs. I feel
But like,
feel
I
bad for
have
them,
like a lot of respect because like some of the calls like they have to make such like quick calls.
Yeah.
And some of the positions like like you go to a purple belt, like a adult lightweight or like a featherweight, and it's like
Yeah.
like lightning,
fast,
like
yeah.
so fast, and I'm like like. Can we like go back
Right.
a little?
Go back, exactly.
Instant replay.
It's like they
such
have like at the time.
Jiu-Jitsu is still a small community, and everybody knows somebody, and this team, and friends with this person, and I used to train here, and and you're put in those situations so many times as a referee where you're like, somebody's going to get pissed at me for making this call.
Yeah.
Either you're going to be pissed or you're going to be pissed, and it's a thankless job.
Yeah. Also, like to have like the mindset like of not getting like because a lot of people yelling at you outside. I remember like one time Andre asked me like please like I don't have like my staff is like incomplete. I need like someone to like work in Canada. It was like a tournament, like not a BJJF tournament, but he begged me to go. I'm like I know I hate referee. But I went there, and my first match, I was like all sweaty, like I could not like help, and like all the it was kids, and I was like, man, those like parents they will kill me. So like people like screaming outside, and like I was like, oh, I'm not ready for this. But like just to have the the to be cold and like just stay still and like not listen to what people were saying, like yelling at you, and just it's like it's tough. It's tough.
Especially those kids' parents.
It's harder than competing. I'd rather be competing.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'd like to see it like in the future as jiu-jitsu grows, stay with me for a second. Not like get rid of the referees, but have it so that, I think this is where technology is going to go, where you can have like, your gi would have like, you know how you do video games where they put those little dots all over your body and then it mimics your movement, right? So if you can initially have a computer watching the match with your gi somehow being able to send signals to that computer where that computer knows the position and then knows how to score the point based on your position where you're inside
that would be
it.
some technology, man.
Bro,
Well, I mean, you're filming the matches, right? The IBJJF is filming the matches. So to have another camera there that can record this information, take that information, and then automatically score those points for you, it's it. It's beautiful. Just throw the bag when the match is over, and you can't argue with the computer, can you?
You're tripping me out, man. You're about 200 years ahead of your time.
Right?
Well,
I
think that's what they would do if they were trying to create a video game. You would have to do that. You would have to have all those different
have to have all
movements.
those to
because
create
that's
it.
what they do to create the UFC games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor's got to put the vest on.
So let's reverse
and-
engineer that and then have it be able to score points based on where those movements are and what position you're in. That would be the thing.
Wow, that would be like a
That's it. I'm saying that would be really, really
2050s maybe.
Right, yeah.
Cito.
What? I don't know. I think about this is what I think about. Sorry.
I know. I don't think that's going to work, dude.
I think it could work. I think it could.
But the one thing that they're doing now, like I think for the big tournaments, is like they have the delay. So if like the referee makes a call, and because I feel like sometimes the problems like we have 3 referees, but like the problems like sometimes like they will rely too much on the central referee.
Right.
And then like those 2 referees, they have the power of like if they feel okay, I don't think like it was an advantage, so they will like kind of, but not like all of them do this. So sometimes they would just rely very much on the central referee. So like and now like with the delay, what they do is like if like they see like okay this call here was like like not a bad call, or something happened, like the referee missed something, so they will like have the delay, and then like
Right.
okay, go back.
Right.
And then they will like I actually saw this I think at the Worlds. It's like the first time I saw they doing this, and I think that's good. That's like it's like a progress.
Yeah. But I mean, artificial intelligence.
Stop it.
Okay, stay with me now. So artificial intelligence, you're going to have a computer that drives for you. That computer that's driving the car has to see everything in front of it and know what's a danger and know what's a roadblock. So you have to program the computer to tell them all this information. So if you had an artificial intelligence computer on the mat as a referee, looking at the positions, because that computer knows what positions score points, what positions don't score points, what gets an advantage, what not, take that simulated computer, put it behind a camera, looking at the same match without a physical artificial being there, you'd have the same thing. It'd be able to look at that match.
So you're trying to turn jiu-jitsu into fencing?
No, not at all.
like a buzzer goes off every time you score an advantage?
No. But
how
it
can
would
you tell?
automatically
Somebody
calculate this
bearing
stuff.
bolos or something, and it's like
would
he's
know.
on bottom,
It
but
would
how do
know.
you give the other guy 2 points when he's taking
No,
the back?
it would
What
know-
if you
it would
do
know every
a
position.
loop choke where you're rolling over the top and it's like you're upside down?
I know.
It looks
it would have to know all those
Cito,
positions. You
please.
could teach artificial intelligence anything
The
you
last
want.
time we had someone from 021 in, God bless her soul, Kristen Martin, who had to school us on the IBJJF because we knew nothing.
Nothing.
We
It happens, guys. It
we
happens.
sounded like such idiots on that podcast, and Kristen was very gracious and patient
She
with
was
us.
very
And now we
patient.
have Hannette Staack in studio, and you're mumbling on like an idiot about technology that's never going to
But I was
happen.
actually picturing in my mind, like like maybe like a rash guard with like
Yes, thank you.
She's
She's there with
Don't
me.
feed
We're
into
there.
it.
I think ahead of time, man.
Yeah, don't feed
It's
it.
coming. It's coming, Paul. You never know.
Stop it. So, what kind of training did you do? Like, how did you change up your training for, let's say, Gi Worlds versus ADCC?
So I would say like for like the preparation is like kind of like similar, right? In terms of like time we put in on the mats, and like work we do outside of the mats, like personal training and everything. But like I think the main difference training for each tournament is like people ask me like, oh, like did you have to train a lot of like a no gi to go to the ADCC, because ADCC is no gi. And I tell people like most of my training for the ADCC was with the gi, and people are like, oh, that's how, like like you went there, and like because like I feel like when you train with the gi, you have like so much resistance.
Right.
People can hold you, and like not all the positions will, so like the way we did like many times was like I was like with the gi and people no gi, then I won't have like anything to grab, and people will have like something to grab on me, which is like makes like a very hard for the person like for me like to hold the position, secure the positions.
So they were wearing rash guards and shorts,
Exactly.
and you were wearing the gi.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And they were allowed to grab.
They were allowed to grab,
and you
yes.
couldn't. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and like I feel like those kind of trains help me a lot to like because once you take the gi off, it's like you fast. You like
It's like so nice after wearing the gi so much, and we do no gi class. It's like first I feel like I'm invincible. I just get that feeling. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like you're like, you can't
like,
hold me. You can't like I'm just gone. Like you're never gonna like take my bag. I'm squirming out. It's just you feel completely invincible. Like you could do anything you want to me. Anything. You're not gonna.
Right.
That's just how I mean, it doesn't happen. Like I get tapped in no gi, but
Right.
you just have that feeling like, all right, now I can just go.
Seems like there's less to worry about.
So much less.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel. But
yeah.
I mean, it's nice.
True.
It's a
but then
good
throw
thing.
heel hooks and stuff in there, and there might be a little bit more to worry about.
It gets more
but-
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's just that initial feeling. You're like, yes, all right. Let's go. It's go time.
And you feel so fast. Like for me, I felt like so fast after like I was training without the gears. Like your speed is like different too.
It's like it's like anything. You put weights on. You put a weight vest on and go running.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, and you take the weight vest off and go running. And you're like, oh my god, I feel like I can
Right,
forever.
I can fly.
Right. It's the same thing with the gi. Gi's our cape.
What?
I have no idea.
So at 021, do you guys train heel hooks?
We do. We have because the problem is my first school, I had this guy, which is like amazing guy. And he was like the person who make the connection between me and my professor, my actual professor. But he was, every time he was a black belt, older guy, like a cab driver in Brazil. So he would come every almost every evening after the class, because he was working, right? So he would come. He was like in his 60s at the time, and he would come. He's like, "Oh, Hannette," he would call me, "Hannette, come here. Do you have time?" And I was like, yeah, master, I have time. And he's like, I have this position I have been working on. And then he will show a heel hook. And I would say, master, but we can do heel hooks. Yeah, but it's good to know. So from the beginning, I was training a lot of leg locks and all this kind of stuff. But once I got into the rules, I knew I could not apply those techniques to to jiu-jitsu. But for me, I was always very familiar with the techniques, and I never I never put them aside I cannot train this. And I feel a lot of people they once they start training, it's I saw this meme one day and I was laughing. Once you start training a leg locks and foot locks, you kind of forget about everything else. And you see a foot and you're like,
Yeah.
That happens when Kristen, she became a brown belt. I remember every training, I was rolling with her, she would grab my foot and I'll start laughing inside because I know what you're going for, but it's kind of a natural feeling. Yeah. But we train those techniques, especially if we have people going for those tournaments that are allowed. We have now I know IBJJF, they don't allow this kind of techniques, but there's a couple a Fight to Win, other tournaments they have those kind of techniques. So we feel we have to show to our students and show them how to go there and how to prevent those techniques. Otherwise they will have something will be missing in their games.
Right.
But we don't teach to everybody else. So probably we'll have we have this exchange where we have let's say brown and black belt exchange, where we have all the brown and black belts together. Then we can work on those specific techniques. Because I feel if you give something like this to a blue belt, they'll be oh my God, I will never pass the guard again.
That's 100% true. I
Right?
totally see that. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So, and it's you have to develop your your jiu-jitsu game before you go. I feel jiu-jitsu is about submission, but for me the way I see you have to put yourself in a good position in order to get a good position for a submission, right? Because if you're just like a scrambling and like, you're not going to get anything. Even if you can get a foot, if you don't have like a solid grip or a solid technique, like a solid position, you're going to lose, right? So I feel like, like that's why we don't go, we have to go like, A to Z, right?
I agree.
Or A to W here.
Worry about the position and the control and everything first.
Yeah, it's super
Yeah.
important. Did you have listened to the John Danaher podcast with Joe Rogan?
Parts of it. Yeah.
That dude's on another level, man. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Like
so
it-
articulate and precise. Like everything he said, it was just, this is the way it is. And you're just like, yeah, that's the way it is.
When they were going over the footage of Gordon Ryan versus Cyborg at ADCC and just breaking it down, I was like nerding out. I was like, oh my God.
Incredible.
Every little detail. He would pause, stop, rewind.
Yeah.
Okay, enhance, continue the video. You know what I mean? It was like,
It's
Very
almost
good.
like a schooling of.
Yeah. It was incredible. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
It's good to see like someone who really knows what you're talking about.
Yes.
Like when they say like it's like they know what they're talking about, right?
and
like
he can't even
these
do
guys-
it. Like he's injured where he can't even do the. So he relies on the students to show the technique, and think
just
about
analyzes.
That's incredible.
But I feel like like a good teacher. That's like because I can't like say like I have like a very good teacher, and I feel like that's like the reason why like I was like I was able to accomplish like all this like amazing like a tournament, right? But because like Andre is like the type of person he will see like I was like pretty much like I have to like do the technique many times in order to like remember and then I can break the technique down and then okay, let's start from here and then like we can go from the beginning to the end, breaking the technique with the drills and everything. But my professor, he has like this amazing skill of like looking, and he works like he worked as a referee for many years. Now he like is mostly like doing the clinics, but like he still goes to the tournament. Sometimes he comes back and he's like, I saw this technique here, and I'm like, it's like I saw this technique. I have been watching this guy at the tournaments for a while, and I saw him doing every tournament this technique. He will get the technique, he will break down the technique, he will teach the technique, and he'll be like, man, how he does like how he does this, like it's amazing how I feel like when you have, and that's like we were talking before, a little bit before, when you have something like very good, like because I had like a very good teacher from the beginning, it's like like I can see like John Danaher like as well, like when he talks like because even though he's not teaching, he's injured, but he knows like what he's talking about, right? And he like he knows how to break down the technique, like so.
But even to see, like sometimes it's not even a matter of like just doing the technique, but there's some things you need to feel. Like, does he know he's like? For me, sometimes I'll think, I just need to feel it.
Yeah, I understand.
Do it to me so I can feel what you're
Yeah.
doing. Because sometimes you have that invisible jujitsu that's going on. You're like, I don't know what's going on, but I feel
Exactly.
something. But you're squeezing at a certain angle, or you're there's a push pull. So that's why I'm so amazed that his students like. He can see what they're doing and know you need to just adjust your leg, hip there, put this arm down, and just like squeeze there. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Let's keep
that's-
in mind that you do sound at least 10% smarter with a New Zealand accent.
100% sure.
He's still a jiu-jitsu genius, but let's keep that in mind too.
Yes,
though,
he does.
right?
Yeah. He's
Yeah, but like like it's also like many years of experience, right? Like like it makes a difference. Like you see like some of these guys talking, like I went to at the World's one of the seminars, like it was like a 2016 I think, and I saw like a Grappler Union, Leo Vieira, like showing the techniques, and you like how they break down and everything, like for me, like I like to pay attention on those details, like like the way like they break down the technique and like how they connect everything together in the end. So like like that's like what for me, like when I see a good teacher, it's like, wow, like man, good job,
right.
Definitely.
right?
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, everyone, it's so fascinating. Like there's no like same black belt. It seems like everybody has their own flavor. Everyone has. That's what's so fascinating. Like, we're all doing triangles. We're all doing arm bars. We're all doing back takes. We're all doing that stuff. But yet we're not. It's so fascinating. Like, so you see like a football player. They all throw the ball. They're all doing this. And they're all tackling it. But that looks all the same to me. It looks very same. And in jiu-jitsu, when you roll with different black belts, they're just doing so many different, like, oh, okay, you did armbar, but the way you got to that, the way you got me to do that is totally different. Yeah.
And like also like there's no like a right and wrong. There's no like 100%. Like you have to do this way because otherwise it won't work. Right. That's what like amazes me too. And like when I hear people saying like, oh no, like this is like exactly the way you have to do it. It's like, because people have like their limitations. They have and
body
the technique
different.
Exactly. So you cannot treat like everybody the same way, right? You have to, like the technique might work a little bit different for the other person, but doesn't mean like you're doing wrong or anything. Right. It's just like a different way or a different setup.
I see those Helio Gracie, because I guess he passed away recently, or like 9 years ago to the day or something like that. So
yesterday actually, right?
Yeah. So they were people post videos of him doing technique and stuff like that from back in who knows the 30s, 40s, wherever they were from. But just his technique, you just look at it, you're like, wow, that looks so like just perfect. Like he just armbar is just boom, armbar, and it was just like there's no flair to it. It's just like so clean and pure. It's like that is just an armbar. Like that's it.
Right.
Goes to the back, flips you over, he lays down and just armbar.
Right.
And just looks so clean and neat.
Yeah.
So neat.
But don't you feel like nowadays like people tend to like complicate things too much?
Think so.
Like sometimes I see some techniques is like why are you going back?
Yes.
Like why are you going this way to come back this way?
I noticed that
it's
too.
Like, it's like you kind of like making more complicated, and like I understand doing the training, like sometimes let's say you're trying to pass the guard one way, you have to go another way. Sure. But wasn't like what doesn't make sense to me is like if you have to, to lose a position, we had our belt ceremony in the end of the year in Brazil. It was like this end of the year, and I heard we had like a Grandmaster Robson Gracie, like Renzo Gracie's father at our ceremony. Nice. He gave me like my diploma for my 4th degree, which was like a great honor for me. Sure. And like his like a speech was amazing. He said like I posted it on my story on Instagram, but he posted like you don't walk back even to like get like a more impulse, like like if you have to like sometimes you have to step back to like go forward, like to go further forward. He's like, no, you don't step back even to like to like a step more, like to go further on your jump or something like this. And for me, it makes sense. Like nowadays, what we see is like sometimes people like and I was even like talking about this to one of our he's like a training for the world. So he's actually from our project in Brazil. He's a purple belt, but he came from one of our projects in Brazil. It's like a small island in Rio, and he's training here now, preparing for the big competitions. So I was like talking to him and said like, Vinicius, how could you like you were like winning the match, like doing this was like doing the sparring. So you winning the sparring, you on top, and then you go back, you sit back to try to go to someone. Like for me, like it's unacceptable how like you have to go back in a match. You don't go back, right? Because sometimes if you go back, you don't have like the time to like to score those points again. Sure. The way I was like like I train was always like like I will like put my pressure, my game. I will always keep moving forward. Right. So like for me, like now I see like people like they do all this like fancy stuff, like like they jump, they put the leg, like, and then for nothing. Right. They still like in the same position. Like I don't know.
All that energy wasted.
Yeah. Exactly. Like
I agree.
Let's go on Instagram though.
Sometimes. Yeah, I some of those Instagram posts.
Oh my goodness!
They're like,
oh no!
I just saw.
How many
today.
takes do you think some of them are like? A lot of takes.
Yeah.
Right? You're like take after take after take after take. You're like, okay.
I just saw one today. It was a leg lock entry, and I was like, no,
Right, and it's like you don't want to sound like, but I feel like there's so much. Like because information now it's so like it's everywhere, right? Yes. Like everywhere you have like everywhere you go, you have information. But to be able to gather those informations, like what you need for your game, that's like, another level. So like I feel like as a white belt sometimes like they get so excited and like they will like look at everything, and then they will like, if they start going that direction, oh man, that would be a problem. So like, but if they stick with the fundamentals, the basic, they build their foundation first, then like, they will succeed. Because the problem is like people try to kind of like a jump a step. And like, oh no, like boring. I don't want to like do like a hip escape, like for like, guard recompose. Why I have to like recompose my guard? If I can just like, play here, like, beating bolo and all this kind of stuff. Or why I have to learn how to defend the mount position. I've never like those things, but those things actually like saved your life, like so I don't know, like I feel like we have to kind of like I feel like, we will go back in some point. I feel like now just like, like there's a lot of things like going on, like a lot of techniques out there. A lot of people want to promote themselves too, which is good. Like my time, I didn't have that much of exposure, like we didn't have Instagram or anything like this. I feel it's good, but also like I feel like the spectators, they, they have to have like this. They have to know, okay, maybe like, like I will stick, because I feel like people like are valuing more what they see there, and they go to the gym. It's like, oh man, I'm like learning this like mount position for 1 week. Like I want to like learn some cool chokes or something like this. But that's like the process. If they don't go through this process, like then how can you explain like a Roger Gracie, for example, like going to this tournaments like all those years, like 10 world titles. It's like and like always like beating people with like he has like a card on his sleeve. I know he has like like a lot of techniques, like fancy techniques, but when he goes to the tournament, what makes the difference is like his foundation, right? He's like a heavy hips, and like he will go to the mount, he will secure the position, he will hold that position, he will not lose positions like easy. And I feel like now this generation, they just like move, like all this kind of like a fancy things, but they don't accomplish anything. In the end, it's like the match,
just a big scramble.
In the end, like the match will be like a 4-4. Because like they score a sweep, and then the other guy will go down because they don't want you, like they will wait for like the right opportunity to sweep again, and there will be like this game. But you don't see like you see like the people who actually has like a good foundation, they will like succeed, and they will like keep winning. Like, and I was like just watching like Bia Mesquita, for example. For me, like at the women's division now, she's the one who is showing like very like clean jiu-jitsu. It's nothing fancy or anything, but effective. And like kind of like what people are missing. You see like a lot of people doing a lot of stuff, but that stuff works, right?
I mean, there's some competitions I've saw in the past where people get into leg lock battles, and neither of them know what the hell to do. And they're all they're just trying to put leg lock on. This guy's trying to get a leg lock. This guy, like, they're just sitting on their butts, grabbing each other's legs, and just constantly going for leg locks.
How
like,
boring is that?
I'm like, would you stop? You clearly don't know what you're doing. You're just hoping. You're just like, oh, I see someone grab a leg and they put their arm here, and I think that's how you do it. But they clearly don't have the technique, and they just keep going. Or like the other
person will attack the foot, and they're like, oh, he's attacking me. I'll attack his foot too, right?
Yeah.
But
it's like, just get up, pass his guard, get to side control, get to mount, get to back. Like, stop. Let's just progress. Because it makes me so like, I mean, unless you know what you're doing, because you can tell when someone doesn't know what they're doing. They're just like grabbing legs and just whatever. But it's frustrating.
Like that progression John Donaher was talking about. You got to pass the legs. You got to establish position. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can't pass the legs, now you need to get into the leg lock game. But like some guys just starting the matches there. And they never leave there. It's like now you could flip flop that philosophy. If you can't get a leg lock, start passing. It's and they won't even attempt to do it sometimes.
They just sit there.
It makes for a crappy match.
It does. It's odd. I don't know. I hope that fad goes away. I mean, I appreciate now more than ever, the pressure game. The hip pressure, getting in there. I really enjoy that. My guard game is pretty good. Now this year I'm going to be working on my passing game a lot. I just want to pass, and stay on top and just keep pressuring.
So you're a guard player.
I'm a guard player.
Nice.
That's
If he sweeps you and gets on top, he'll just roll back down
No,
onto his back
Don't
again.
do this, man. No.
I'm on top. I don't know what to do.
Just like, go back to the bottom.
No, but yeah. So this year I'm very focused on passing and staying on top.
What do you play, Hannette? What's your game?
It's funny because I started as like a very like a guard player. Like my top game was like, and then I hurt my knee in 2005. So it's kind of like, like I could not, like I stayed for as like my top game had to change because like I basically couldn't like bend my knee all the way over. So I was like, if I was like a kneeling, then one leg would be like a kind of like a sticking outside because I couldn't like bend all the way. So I had to change my game a little bit. But actually it was funny because like I never considered myself as a guard player, right? But I like to play guard more than I like to pass, especially at the gym. But I was like, making this kind of like thinking about like, how I would like consider myself. I would say like I love passing the guard too. Since I had to play so much guard, like, I end up like liking the guard a lot too. Right. And I was like actually looking at some pictures of like old footage, and I was like, on the bottom a lot, like all that, I got 4 pictures, like 3 of the pictures I was on the bottom playing guard, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. But I remember one tournament I did like back in Brazil. I think it was like a Brazilian Nationals, and I remember the girl saying like, she doesn't have guard. Like she was like, we were like fighting. She's like, she doesn't have guard. Like you have to pass. You're going to pass. She doesn't have guard. And I think to myself like, what's she saying? Like I don't have guard. And then I swept. I went to the mount position and I submit the match. But like I said like my game, my bottom game is like like it's not the game that will be like just like playing around and like using my legs. Like if you train with my students, Kristen Martin, Kristen Mickelson, the both black belts. They're like a more kind of like a guard players. They will feel very comfortable, and I actually have to like yell at them sometimes. Like you have to go to the top. You cannot just be on the bottom. You must go to the top. Right. And they are better now. But for me it's like if I have an opportunity to go to the top, why not? Right. Because I'm very comfortable passing guard too. And even if I'm not able to pass, I might find a leg lock. But also at least I know I will have like a good base to stay on the top and like keep moving, but I don't feel like because I feel like a lot of people, they are actually afraid of going to the top. If I have someone like, oh, this person is a very good guard player, so I'm like I would be on this game like a leg with leg, right? How do you say when they just like this with the legs? They have like a name for the guard when they can both sit on their butts and they both like a leg, the leg fighting, whatever. So boring. But now they have the 20 seconds rule, so that one person has to come to the top, right? Otherwise they will get the penalty, and then that how it goes. But a lot of people they afraid to pass the guard. And because I like passing guard too, so I'm not my game is it's like a complete game. I don't have if in this position I don't know what to do, because I did many years specific training. I love doing specific training. A lot of people don't like doing specific training, but I actually love doing specific training because I feel those are the time you can work on your weakness. And I love working on my weakness because, you never know. Someone can take your back. And if you don't know how to defend, that's they will find a choke or an arm or something like this. So for me, the specific training is a big help to my game. But I feel like I could say I'm more a guard player than a guard passer than a guard player, just because my guard is a very it's I will go for a submission or I will go for a sweep. I will not be a just open guard. Open guard's not my game for sure.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I'll be more kind of a close guard, half guard person.
Yeah, I mean I like open guard. But I'll close it. I'll get you. Yeah, I'm
interesting because you came from Nogi, right? Nogi, so you should.
I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. Just comfortable on my back. I'm just doesn't bother me.
Who doesn't like to be on the back? So right?
Just relax.
It just fits so well on the floor.
Just come at me, and we'll take it from there. Just give it all you got.
So I have a question for you. You're more the type of guy who started the training already sitting. You know, like because normally like people start on their knees.
Yeah, I start on
And-
my knees.
Oh, you start on the knees,
I
and then
won't
you
start on
like
my
sit
butt.
right away.
Then I mean, yeah. I'll
Or
sit
you
back.
wait a little bit, just like it just
I'll grab and I'll pull. I grab and
So-
pull.
Zito, remember for a while there, every time I slapped hands with you, I would just fall straight on
okay,
my back and be like,
Paul,
I'm making you
Paul
take
does two
that
things.
position.
Paul does two things to me. As soon as we slap hands, he messes up my gi, and then sits back. I'm like,
So
why?
he like already like
He like just
kills
like
your game.
he just like messes me out. He's like untucks my gi and he's just like sits on his
is-
back and I'm just
That's
like,
smart.
What are you doing, man? It throws me all off.
2 reasons why I do this. Anthony is a neat freak.
Yes.
So everything has to be perfect, and the belt with the super knot.
It's like kind of like a
and-
playing with your mind.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do is I mess up his clothing as soon as possible. If he had hair, I would just mess that up too. And then I know he wants to be on his back, so I lay down.
Yeah.
And it throws him off.
Plus he's really long, so it's hard to pass his legs. Like I gotta he just throws me up. Like he messes me all up. He really messes. Like he's like the probably top 3 hardest rolls for me at the gym.
Nice.
Yeah, he's tough.
It's good to have people like this, right? Like
It's,
it's give you
it's
like
very
a challenge.
good, but it's like after I roll with him, I'm like, oh, man, I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. I feel so bad about myself. I'm like, God, I got so much learn. Like,
it's good that you get you motivated for like
he
to
does,
come,
but
right?
he's a purple belt, 3-stripe, Paul.
Yeah.
3-stripe purple, and I'm up to get my purple belt hopefully this year, and I'm just like, I'm gonna be a purple belt, and he's a purple belt. I'm like, I don't feel like I'm there. Like I feel like.
But that's
I
a good
feel the
thing,
same
like,
way with
like
Tyler, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like like you kind of like grow into like you into the belt too,
Yeah.
right? It's like like it's when I got my black belt, it's like I don't know anything. Like how can I be a black belt? I don't know anything. My
Yeah.
goodness, I was like a kind of like like oh my god, like if people ask me a question, like I don't know the answer, like
Right.
how it's gonna be. But like after a while, it's just like you have to. Because we know stuff, right? But you
Right.
just have to kind of like be more confident and like kind of looking for your own place into like because you can't compare yourself to
Right.
others. That's like the wrong way to go.
Right.
You will always get frustrated or something like this. But if you just like I'll take my journey like this way and like not compare myself to other people and I think like the
I'm
best.
very competitive.
Yeah. So I think that the best way to like to test yourself or like to feel like if your game is going to the tournaments,
Right.
Because then you can really like go against someone same level. Then you feel like I'm actually not that bad.
right. Yeah. The next term I plan doing Chicago Open. which
Chicago Open,
that's the one
yeah,
I have to
March.
watch. Yeah.
Close.
I'm excited for that one.
Nice.
I think I might be working that weekend, which I'm
No.
really, yeah. I'll see. I hope I'm not. I'll try and get out of it, but
Your students do that tournament.
yeah,
Yes.
they show
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
all wearing their t-shirts and
Yeah.
everything. They show up like
Those
an
green
army,
shirts,
dude,
yeah.
for real. I like that. I like that about 021. You guys like all wear the same stuff,
like kind of
and
like
show up.
like a family.
Right?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
IBJJF rule sets, Hannette. What would you like to see changed? Let's get into it.
I think like
Let's piss off your husband.
exactly right. So like, why are you talking? I think like the rules like actually like I see like some things that could be like a better. I think just like the like sometimes it's very subjective. Like you can't say for sure. Like someone from outside, because we know jiu-jitsu, like I know the rules a little bit, right? Not all the rules, but I know a little bit. So for me, it's like I would understand, but from someone outside, they don't understand why like someone was on the bottom, they went to the top and didn't score points.
Right.
So it's like a very complex and very like so there's a lot of things I feel like they do like things to get better. But I feel like, like for example, they created the rule of like 20 seconds. Like if both like they have like the double guard pull,
Right.
and like they're just like playing with their legs, like the boring game. So they will have the 20-second rules. Like so, someone has to go to the top, like to start the match. If no one goes to the top, then like like they will be like getting like the penalties, and then like eventually get disqualified. But like for example, there's a couple positions like where let's say the person's like on the bottom, like they have like a single leg position. They went to the top, they put the person down, and no points. No, because the position didn't start. The position started from the knees and not from the ground. So let's say I'm almost passing your guard. You get on the knees, and then you bring my leg. You hold my leg, and you put me down. Right. So I'm not 100% sure that's it will be the case, but let's say that's a similar case that will happen. So then you won't score the points because the position didn't start from the ground. The position you were on your knees when the position started. It's but I was on the bottom and I went to the top.
Right.
So just to make it simpler than the other people, they will be oh, I see it, I get it. At least the basics.
Right. Well, the one that I didn't know this, and that if someone was going to side control and you go to your knees,
you turtle,
they don't get the points.
They don't get the pass,
which is odd because they don't. That's because now they're kind of like side control, but you're on your knees.
But they almost have your back too.
They almost have your back,
and it's only worth an advantage.
It's only worth an advantage.
But
and all this work,
and you got them. You pass their guard, and then they turtle. You're like. So I don't get nothing but an advantage.
Exactly.
Come on.
Let me know how that strategy goes if you get clock choked, though.
It's true.
You know,
but
there's a give and take to it.
There is.
Yeah.
But still, that's when I'm like, oh, really? All I had to do was go there, and I wouldn't have got those points. It just got an advantage.
Also, for me, I feel the rule for example, for the stalling, it's very in the air, kind of because some people they will stay 5 minutes in the same position, not get anything and called for anything. You can see the positions a stalling position. There's a position people are playing now with both lapels around the legs, kind of a playing guard, and they wrap both lapels around their legs. So the person who's playing guard, they wrap the lapels around their legs, but both lapels, and they will be holding the lapels, and they're not going anywhere from there.
Right.
And it's I just look and okay, what the person on the top can do. Nothing. What the person on the bottom can do. Nothing. Why is this not called for stalling?
Right.
If both are not doing anything, that should be.
So do you think besides a penalty for stalling, but do you think the ref should be more in the UFC? Hey, time to get up. Time to, do you think they should be more active? Okay,
yes,
guys,
but
that's
it cannot be
let's get the action going.
It cannot be something just favoring one person or it has to be something for everybody.
Right.
Because unfortunately in our sport we still we still face those kind of things. Yeah. Favoritism. Oh, this guy is a Brazilian. You have a Brazilian guy. I heard it. I hear this many times when I go to the tournaments. That's one of the major complaints. The referees it's a Brazilian guy. If there's a Brazilian person fighting and another person from another country, they will be in the end 0-0. They both did the same work. They give it to the Brazilian.
That's right. That's why I'm learning to speak Portuguese.
Yeah,
that's what I got to do.
And you look Brazilian already, so
do I?
Yeah, you do
awesome.
a little bit. You need a little bit more of a tan, and then you're there. I could never get there.
Summertime, we go to the lake. We
We're good, right?
Me, they'll be like, that dude's the reddest Brazilian I've ever seen.
It would take just take a couple ways, a couple times to go to the beach.
That's it. That's all
you
I
get
need.
it. That's it, man. That's it.
We're good.
You blend in right in.
I'm good.
You know how in ADCC the first 5 minutes is no points, right? It's submission only, and then that 5 minute hits and they're points,
Right.
I think they should do that in the IBJJF in 50-50. As soon as you're in 50-50 for 2 minutes, heel hooks.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's actually a very good idea,
That's
man.
actually
Run that by your husband.
Oh yeah, I'll take a note of this.
Personally, I think I like the rule set in the gi. Maybe there's a couple of things that could be changed there, but for the most part, I like it.
Yeah, me too.
I think the IBJJF should allow heel hooks and reaping and twisters in no gi, right?
Yeah.
That's a possibility.
Because, for instance, I don't know if you guys watch AC.
At least for the higher levels, like black belt division.
A black belt should be able to do
Yeah.
anything they
You should
want.
be able to do
Yeah,
any submission
exactly.
at black belt.
What
Yeah.
are you trying to protect a black belt from?
Yeah.
If you're calling yourself a black belt, I
Do
think-
everything.
yeah,
Everything.
you should be allowed to do everything.
And I feel like, they, of course, they do everything to keep the competitors safe. You know, like they have like the rule now, like if someone gets you in a single leg, you cannot do the counter for the single leg, which is like, flip the person over, because a lot of people like they got like, injured, neck injuries, stuff like
You're
this.
talking about like a slam from a takedown, right?
Yeah. But like, like I feel like they do want to protect, but yes, like as a black belt, you should know better, right? Like
Yeah.
it's like a reaping, like a
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the bigger picture, like EBI and all these other submission tournaments that are out there right now that allow everything, fight to win.
You don't see
Yeah.
those guys like
No one's getting
being
injured.
crippled
No
when they
no
got
one's
off the
crippled.
They get hit with scissor takedowns,
heel hooks, reaping, all that
they all
stuff.
walk off the mat.
Everyone, Polaris, everyone walks off the mat. So,
So-
that's why
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like that's a non-issue anymore, because we all know that everyone's training heel
I
hooks out
think
there.
like the
and
main
no one's getting
reason
injured.
why they don't do this is because they will have to change. It's like a kind of like a change in the rules.
Oh, it's a big change.
Yeah,
It's a big
for
change.
the like then they will have to change the rules for the gi as well. That is because like then will be like it will be almost like two different sports.
Well, it kind of is almost.
It
two different
almost-
sports.
Yeah.
It
I
almost is.
don't want to see it go to the gi though. Like I was just watching ACB
Except for the 50-50.
except for 50-50. Exactly.
50-50.
But I was watching ACB over the weekend, and I was watching Miao and Taquino, and
Mm-hmm.
what a technical match! What a beautiful display of, real chess.
Yeah.
Every single grip was like
It was.
so thought out perfectly. You couldn't make any mistakes.
No.
And if you allowed heel hooks, it would have messed with that. That artwork that they were doing, you
Yeah.
know,
I
you would have
agree.
completely have thrown that off. And so many of those, because there's, of course, you always talk about, God, there's a heel hook right there. Yeah, there is. But like now they're forced to go somewhere else. They're
Yeah.
forced to create a different,
agree. Yeah.
paint a different picture, you
Right.
know? So I think the gi should be left without it.
I agree.
But I think, especially if the IBJJF wanted to really shut everyone's mouth up and say, you know what, our federation, we do both.
Go to no gi.
We go to no gi and we do everything, you know,
Right.
and then come to the gi and here's our rule set there too,
Right.
You know,
Or maybe
Yeah.
because they want because I feel like a lot of like here in Chicago, I feel like a lot of people they compete the no gi, but they don't compete the gi sometimes because they prefer to go no gi. But I think because they don't want to. How can I explain this? For the IBJJF, they want to keep it kind of like you said, like a clean, but I don't know.
It's just for me. It's just like if you can break my arm and you can knee bar me, right? Because knee bars are perfectly. Calf slicers are legal at black belt level,
Yeah.
right? All that.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't do is heel hooks and twisters, right?
Yeah.
That's the only two.
And the cervical, which is cervical is like
Yeah, but no one's
no,
doing that, right?
no.
yeah.
But I mean, like, what else are you gonna? What are you trying to protect us?
Yeah,
from?
I don't like the slam as well. Like I feel like the slam is like too much.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
Yeah, the slamming.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
No.
Yeah, you don't use it it's like if it's like a maybe MMA or
ADCC.
Yeah, ADCC
okay.
they allowed actually.
Fight to win, they allow slams.
Yeah.
I'm okay with slams in ADCC.
But the
because
ADCC, they only allow the slams if you have a tight position. So let's say if you have a choke or something like this. But everybody booed what's his name? Who fought Marcelo Garcia?
That big guy.
Yeah. What's his name? I forgot. The big guy who fought Marcelo. He Marcelo was in his back and he just a slam. Everybody was like, "Ooh!"
yeah, right.
It was rough. It was rough to watch from outside, man.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
You were there.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Watching Marcelo. You ever roll with Marcelo Garcia?
Yes, actually, man.
How was it?
Amazing. He's such a technical guy, and can just destroy you in a minute, in a second. But so technical and you feel the pressure. You don't feel like he's using like a strength, because I rolled like with many people, and like like sometimes when you roll with the guys, you can feel like their strength, especially if they feel like, oh, like you're giving some challenge, they will give you like something back, and sometimes like they will use a lot of strength.
Sure.
But with Marcelo, I felt like he only used strength when was the time for the submission. A submission he will hold, and you feel like like that hold is tight.
Yeah.
But I never felt like he was like just like using like strength to hold the positions, but to hold me like in the position, but just like to apply the technique, and that was like just amazing. Such a technical guy, and such a nice guy too.
Yeah.
It's like one of my like idols in jiu-jitsu. Like
So you think? I mean, everyone talks about like the GOAT, greatest of all time. I mean, I can't picture like one guy. I mean, there's so many different eras of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
Take all those guys. You have Hickson, you have Marcelo. You've got so many guys out there. I mean, geez.
Hannette, are you the female GOAT?
I wish. I don't consider myself like the greatest of all time, but I mean, like I did a lot for the sport, and I still feel like if someone comes to my school, I will still take care of business, but it would be like too much for me to say like I'm the GOAT.
Well, of course you couldn't say, but you could wink if you Gotcha.
Just keep it between us.
Right.
Just us and all the thousands of listeners.
Awesome.
Man.
So what's in the future for 021?
So right now, we have like one more school that's like in Massachusetts area.
Nice.
One of black belt. He's like opening his school very soon there. So like I feel like with the association, we don't want you to grow. That was like our idea from the beginning. We don't want you to start accepting everybody and then become like this huge organization. Then we don't know who is like with us. We want you to know every single person that's in our association. Right. We want to be able to have a good relationship with each one of them, and we have been doing a good job like doing this, just keeping like our association running from inside out. Like basically what we want is like our students, they will represent us, right? Like so once like they grow, like they become black belts, they move into somewhere else, or they want to open their own school, they will have like the same vision as us.
Sure.
So we don't have to kind of like teach anything, because they will be like already on the standards for the organization. So I feel like for Brazil 21, we kind of like we want to like we go in the right direction. There's still like a lot of work, like getting everybody on the same page, and like especially with the guys in Brazil too. But I feel like like we're going the right direction, so I don't have to like like right now. In the beginning was like a kind of like putting a lot of like work and like getting everything together, organizing everything. I feel like now it's like running by itself. But I feel like I still have like a couple projects like I want to do besides like a Brazil 21. My main goal now is like we have like the organization in Brazil, the Brazil 21 project. We have like 2 locations right now, like in Paquetá, which is like the location we had this guy who's here now training, and at the Borel, which is like like a slum in Rio de Janeiro. And we have like for this project we had 2 kids coming in 2015 to compete at the Worlds. They both got third place.
Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
It was like amazing experience for them. Like
crazy.
We took them to Disneyland after, and they were like pretty happy, like so happy. But like I still want to. I feel like like in Brazil, there's a lot of people who need like this kind of things, and we're happy. It's a lot of work, but we're happy we can at least like have 2 locations where we can provide some instruction for these kids. But my main goal now, and our main goal now, is like to bring something here to Chicago, because I feel like the needs are different. Like in Brazil, people, if you go there, you see what I'm talking about. Like the poverty is like a very different. It's like I have like a funny story about this. When I came to Chicago first time, I was like we had like one of our friends. He was taking us to Southside Chicago, and he was like talking. He's like, oh, this is like he was like first he was like giving like a tour, and I was like, he didn't say anything, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Look, Andrea, look, let's go live here. And it's like I was so excited, like, and he's like, no, this is actually the bad area of Chicago. it's like no, look at this house, man, I can live here. This is amazing. Look at this house. It's like so big, so amazing. It's like, no, Hannette, you cannot live here. Right. And I was like, man, I will move here tomorrow, man. I will live here tomorrow. Look at this, this place. It's amazing.
You're so right, though. Southside has so many beautiful brownstone
Right?
2-stories that are
Right?
just
Yeah.
boarded up now. It's a shame.
And then I was when he started talking, it's the problem is I feel like the problem is the mindset of those people is sometimes because I will put this way. I don't want to be misunderstanding, but I will put this way. In Brazil, when you see a poverty, that's a poor. You go to one of these slums, you go to our project, I've been to a couple of houses of one of a couple of our students there, they invite us. You look from outside and you look wow, man, how these people live here.
It's shacks, right? Literally.
Yeah,
shacks.
exactly. And you be amazing. You go inside, everything clean, everything in place, a small place, but everything is in a simple, but everything is decent, right? The difference is you go to some of those places here and the culture is very different, it's kind of they don't, because everything comes so easy for them, they have a nice house, they have
right.
The government will give support for those people, right. And some of those people they don't appreciate because they don't know what it is to be. It's what we're talking about, when you come from a bad experience and then you'll find something else, you're oh man,
right, exactly,
this is jiu-jitsu, right? So it's it's kind of here the when I saw these places here, I was man, I cannot understand why those people they have everything, but they don't appreciate,
Right.
And my goal is to be able to give to some kids, to those kids, who has they don't have anything around to look for,
right.
All their examples are, people drug dealers,
right.
or doing a shady stuff to leave, so they don't have anything else to look up to. They will look at basketball players. It's in Brazil, we look at the football players, the soccer players, you'll be man, I want to be like Neymar one day, but it's so hard, so far to
right.
get there. But when they see us, it's we came from there, Andre, he came from the ghetto. If you look at his place, you see wow, man, you lived here, wow,
right.
So and we are able to succeed. So we came from Brazil with $3,000. That's it. I won the tournament, the ADCC, and then I got some money for the tournament. We had $8,000 to make our life here, and we made it work. Yeah. Today we have 2 locations here. We have our own location. We have
right.
Arlington Heights. We have people that believe on the same idea, same vision. And for me, and this is this is a success story, and I want those people to be able to identify with this. Sure. And even though I'm not going to be because those kids, I'm talking about Brazil, those kids, they you will talk about school, it's go to school, it's oh man, school boring, right. But if you give something for them to work, if you don't do jiu-jitsu, if you don't go to school, you're not going to be able to do jiu-jitsu. And some of those kids, they are amazing jiu-jitsu and they love jiu-jitsu, so they will right. be oh no, I want to do jiu-jitsu, so I'm going to school, and that's how it goes. But sure. Our goal now is to bring the same thing here, and then we can get those kids who they don't have anything, right. They don't have they have all those free time, but they don't have anything to do it, right. Yeah. So I think that's what we are working on now, to get everything ready to be able to start promoting more and right. Making this bigger here. But it's a lot of work.
It is,
right? It's a lot of work.
That's an amazing story.
It's a lot of work for sure.
Yeah.
But you're so right that the difference between poverty in America and somewhere like Brazil, it's amazing. If you're a good athlete in America, I mean, anyone can go to high school. High school's free, and every high school has a basketball team and a football team, and you could kind of make your way into possibly a scholarship situation, possibly get recognized by a pro team or something like that. You know what I mean? But as far as the favelas or the slums in Brazil, there's no jiu-jitsu in school, right? Yeah. So you have to have money in order to train jiu-jitsu.
Yes, exactly. And for the gi and for the, sure. It gets really expensive.
Right. Yeah. So I'm I wonder if, like, when you see someone win worlds and it's like, are they really the world champion, or is there some kid in the favela who just couldn't afford the plane ride? Is he?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh
there?
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. I was actually like, thinking about this. If they would bring the worlds back to Brazil in one point, I don't think it will be possible, because like in Brazil, like especially right now with the economy, everything is like so messed up in Brazil. But I don't think like like they will have like the same structure as they have here. But I also feel like a lot of people like they miss the opportunity because because like to get a visa to come to United States is very hard. When I was coming in 2005, when I came for the first time, my visa was denied for the first time, and I had like all the proof. I had my tournament, the invitation for the tournament. I have like the plane ticket. I had the hotel reservation. Wow. Like I had like a letter saying that the tournament was paid, all the expenses were paid, and I presented at the consulate, and she's like, and I brought because at the time I was like still working, so I brought my my payment
pay stub or something.
Yeah. And like she like just like a look at this, and she's like, oh, you can't come. And she was like already like putting like stamping like oh, you cannot come to United States at this time. I was like, no. And I said like, but I have everything's paid. She's like, I'm sorry, but not this time. Maybe next time. She didn't give him any explanation.
So just one person is like, no, sorry.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
It's so messed up.
Right? And then the reason why I got the visa after is like because we knew someone at the newspaper. Mm-hmm. So we talked to this person what happened, and she put a small note on the the newspaper, and saying all the tournaments a 3-time world champion, all the expenses paid, and her visa got denied from the consulate. So then Andre had his an interview for the visa. So he went there, and he was another guy, and the guy was like, okay, so you've been approved. So your athlete has the visa already, and he's like, actually, and he put the newspaper, all the information. He was putting everything inside of the place, all the information. Actually, here it is. She didn't get the visa, and the guy was he just got the newspaper, went all the way outside. We've been we were waiting for 3 hours at the consulate just until they gave me my passport. Wow. And I traveled the same day. So that's that was a pure luck. It was because I wasn't it was this was in 2005, but it was crazy. But as many people I know, I can count just in my mind here, I have 3 people that went through the same problem. Yeah. And some people, they never get approved.
Really?
Yeah.
They just want you to keep you in Brazil.
Yeah, I feel
you can't leave.
I can blame them now, because I know a lot of people, they they come and they want to stay.
Sure.
But it's the problem is they generalize. Everybody's they would just look at you, or look at your payment check or something like this. You don't have money to come to my country. Sorry. Wow. So that's why I feel a lot of people, they're not able. One because it's also for the sponsorship to have money for paying the trip and everything. Right. Only if you if you're on a high level, right? Because who wants to sponsor a blue belt? Right? And as a blue belt,
it's very tough to get sponsors right now.
Yeah,
right. Right? But it's true, right? But if you go to those places, you see those blue belts, because they come from the kids. Right. Once they get their blue belts, 15, 16 years old, and they're flying. So sure. I'm sure there's a lot of kids, they're not able to come, to participate because money or visa problems.
So now you're doing a lot of CrossFit lately, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
CrossFitter.
Obviously, I follow you on Instagram, so she's always just killing the game.
Yeah.
So have you always done CrossFit?
I actually started was it beginning of 2016 or I think it was a beginning end of 2015, 16.
That's a whole cult on its own now.
I know,
so
right?
Did you drink the Kool-Aid over there, or what's going on?
kind of.
Maybe you are in the best shape of your life now.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
So how you-
But I always like sports. I remember like at 13 years old going to the gym, and like I had this guy who was like a personal trainer from the place, like from like the local gym, and he would like prescribe me some exercise, and I just love to exercise. And he was like, okay, Hannette, you put just like, let's say if you have 10 plates, you like only put like a 5, and he would turn his back and I'll put 10. So I always loved lifting weights.
Sure.
So, but like, after a while, like I always did like my workout outside of jiu-jitsu. For me, I feel like it was important to keep my body safe, like, to prevent injuries and all kinds of stuff. People were different, but for me, like, that was like a big part of my career. I always like prepare myself outside of the mats too. But then like I started like doing less competition. So like my, let's say workout was kind of like, more lazy,
Right.
like a laid back kind of. But I felt like I need something to kind of like give me that motivation, the extra motivation, because my body is so used to the jiu-jitsu workout. For me now, like if I want to cut weight or something like this, I will have to do like actually like a circuit training in jiu-jitsu. That's how like I used to do for the competitions, and at the time that was like what kept me like in the best shape for
So
the
what does that
competition.
involve, that circuit training?
So normally when I do like the circuit training is like basically like let's say if I'm preparing for the world championship, and I know I will have like around like 4 matches, right? So then I will like I get like 4 matches, like 40 minutes. So then I will prepare my training based on those 40 minutes. So let's say one way to do it, like, I will have 10 minutes of like 1 minute each exercise. So let's say, and we always be like, kind of like in a hardcore pace.
Sure.
So let's say 1 minute of like a flying arm burst, and then I'll be like 1 minute flying arm burst, 1 minute takedown drill, 1 minute takedown drill. For 10 minutes, I'll be doing all those drills in like as fast as I can.
Right.
And then I'll repeat those like, moves for like 4 times with like some rest in between. Right. That was like, like what kept me like in my shape for the competitions besides like the workout. But then I used like, like kind of like doing the workout, not like for competition anymore. My body was like just like used to the workout. And then I think like a CrossFit just gave me like this like, motivation back. It's like,
Yeah, it's like a little injection. It's like that cheat day almost. Like you need to like get that pizza in your body, so that metabolism like just says,
Exactly.
what the hell did you put in my body? You eat clean so much, and then you have all this donuts and pizza, and then you're like, metabolism just kicks in. You're like, all right,
Right.
we're here to work now. We're here to work.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what
But you know
CrossFit's
one thing,
doing
like
for you.
I have to pace myself. I'm like, like I have like an addictive personality, right?
Okay.
Like I started jiu-jitsu. I'm like, I love this. I want to
Right.
do forever. So like everything like I do, like, I'm very committed. Like I'm drive, like, into like what I'm doing. And I feel like that's a good thing, but sometimes can be like, a bad thing too. And like, I had like this example in CrossFit, because I started like with 3 times a week. I actually started 2 times a week, and then I was like progressing, and then I was like 3 times a week. Oh, that's fun. I'm like, what's like the next WOD of the day?
Right.
So the next day I'll like look at the WOD. It's like, oh my God, like I have to go. So then I like 4 times a week, and then 5 times a week, and then 6 times a week.
Whoa.
And then I was like a training jiu-jitsu. I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Oh, my body hurts, man. What I'm doing? It's like, and then I was like, okay, Hannette, jiu-jitsu is your main priority,
Right.
not CrossFit, right? It's like, and I love CrossFit, but that's like my life, my lifestyle, like my work. I need my body healthy for jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And like I don't like regret saying this. Like like I love CrossFit, and I will always like do any kind of like exercise, but jiu-jitsu is my main thing. So like I discovered on the hard way that like okay, I'm doing CrossFit because I want to help my jiu-jitsu to get better, or like, just keep my body strong and healthy. But if like I'm doing like too much of this, then I don't have like, space for jiu-jitsu.
Exactly.
Like my body, especially because now I'm like a 39, almost 39 on the corner, right?
Yeah,
39, I can say 39 because my birthday is like next week. Next week? Oh
Next
my God.
week.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. Next week? Yeah, that's right. No, 7th?
February 7th?
7th.
Yeah, that's next week.
Oh my God.
So this airs right before her birthday.
Yeah,
the 6th. This goes out
that's
the 6th.
awesome. That's awesome. But like my body takes a while to recover, and I have to like understand, like my mind is still like in my mind I'm still like a 20 something.
I'm the same
but
way,
my body is like probably on his 50s already. It's like,
That's how I feel like my mind is like when I first got back into jiu-jitsu, and because I did martial arts all through the 90s, I'm like, oh, I remember everything. I can do this. And my body's like, no, you can't.
Yeah,
You can't do
exactly.
it.
It's like
Shit. Right, my shoulders or everything sucked. It was horrible. But
which is like, like I feel like you have to respect your body, right?
Yes.
And that's the smart. I always, like in my whole life, I train smart. Sometimes I will get like a little pissed off with my trainer because he's like, I felt like he was protecting me a lot. But now I really understand why he was doing this. It's like, I wanted to compete every tournament. I want to like, sometimes I would compete and the next day I was like at the gym and he's like, what are you doing here, Hannette? And like, I just like, just did 2 matches. I went to like, he's like, no, you have to go, you have to rest.
Right.
So he like, forced me to go rest because the problem is like not like, the match itself. It's like the preparation you do before the match.
Yeah.
So, but like, because I love jiu-jitsu so much and I was always like, I always want to like get better. So I sometimes I didn't know when to stop. And that was like, the problem. So like, I'm glad I had him to say like, Hannette, that's too much. Like, let's, give a week. And I'm like, oh man, a week without jiu-jitsu, I'm going crazy. But, like it's was actually good for me because I'm like, since like a 1997 till now, with no major injuries, except like, my knee, but I mean, like from like all those like a 20 years training,
Right,
yeah.
That's the only thing I have.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah,
Great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Paul's been injured a lot.
My rib, man, it's bothering me again.
But that's the thing, like I have like this like one of my students, like she moved to like somewhere else. When she came to my school, she was like she said like that was a conversation. She said like oh, like like I came here because like I just want to see like how the school is, and like I know like you Hannette Staack, I heard like a lot about you, and like you have a women's program. And she's like I've been training the school, and I like I just like I got like this like a big like I torn my like a big muscle on her back, which was like she was on the side control, and that's how she torn like this big muscle on her back. And she was like telling me, but that's common, right? You always get injury in jiu-jitsu. I was like, no, you don't. This is not like a normal like a. It's just like because I was talking like to this lady, and at my school, and she said like oh, get used to it because like since I started jiu-jitsu, I broke my wrist, I broke my arm, I have like a couple broken ribs, and I'm like no, like like if you play this smart, you're going to be able to do this for a while. Yeah. So like I just like I felt like I wanted to give her the right experience with jiu-jitsu. So it's like come here. She still had like a contract with the other school, but I said like you come here, like I would like just because I want you to have the right experience with jiu-jitsu. I will give you this time, the time you still have with the other school, I'll give you for free because nice. I want you to have the right experience with jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the injuries, accidents happen in anything,
exactly.
in any sport, So,
but it's not like all the time,
it's
right?
Not all the time,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel it's all the time. I feel it for me. It's like always right before competition. It's like
because it's the time you're training harder, right?
Harder. Yeah, it's always like, oh, my back went out. Damn it, I got comp this weekend, and I'll fight through it. I've never not competed, because of an injury, but it just seems to be that's the pattern.
Yeah.
I used to be an idiot about it too, where now I give myself a good warm up and a good stretch.
That's the thing.
I don't just sit down in butterfly position for 30 seconds before class.
No,
Super important. You're like stretching the one part of your legs for
exactly.
half a minute. Now I get the shoulders into it and the neck.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how important is like the warm up, man. Like a warm up is everything. Everything.
Even when I go to open mats. Like even our open mat at our school, it's like I sometimes like want to do the whole warm up like in the beginning just so I can.
Exactly.
But I just like no one else is running around. I'm like, all right, I'll just stretch as much as I can, and then even that first match, I'm like, all right, well, let's just flow a little bit. Let me get my blood going.
And you know what? That's a good point because anytime we've heard of people like, oh, we don't do open mats, we've seen too many people get injured at open mats. That's got to be one of the main reasons why, because you don't see anyone warming up at an open mat.
No. I mean, I do a little stretch.
That might be
that's it. That's why I jump right in. I'm like, all right. And then I'm doing 11 rounds, 2 hours of rolling, and I don't want to stop. when I stop and I cool down, I'm done. You know, so I never stop. I roll and roll. I just bounce around
Nice.
2 hours because I know if I stop
2 hours.
I'll go. I don't care. I'll be the last one on the mat.
See, I don't know, man. Are you really rolling
See,
then?
here's where
you know what I mean?
Because I'm on my back. That's
Right.
the problem. I'm on my
Like,
back. All right, come
how
get it.
hard are you going if you're going for 2 hours? That's
Okay.
what I want to know.
Right.
You know what I
man.
mean? Hannette?
I mean, am I going? I let guys try to beat me up a little bit. I let them go for some. But I'll work a certain game with certain people.
Yeah.
I'll go on the big side of the mat. You know,
Hannette,
with the big guys.
ADCC 20-minute long match, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like at the finals. The finals are 20 minutes. Yeah.
20 minutes, right? You're going hard, right?
Oh, yeah.
You think you could go for another hour and 40 minutes at that pace?
On that pace,
At
that'll be
that pace,
hard.
probably not.
Yeah, no.
Probably not.
But we're talking
No.
about open mat. We're not talking about comp rolls. I'm not doing a 2 hour comp
You're not doing
roll.
ADCC at open
I'm not
mat?
doing ADCC at
Come on.
open
I
mat.
don't know, man. 2 hours?
2 hours, man. I have no problem. I
That's
can,
good,
I can
man.
Roll, I can roll forever. But I roll smart. I'm not like a.
Here we go.
It's not like you, going like 100%,
No,
right?
I don't go 100%. I let you give me something, and then I'll escape or I'll defend, and sometimes I just want to defend.
Here's the
sometimes
thing.
my role is just strictly defense, and then sometimes like if I roll with like Caesar,
Yeah.
dude, that's a vicious roll. Like
Yeah, it
Caesar's
is.
really good. He's awesome at trying to he'll pass my guard, but we have such a good
Very active.
He's very active, and he pushes me. I'll push him. That's a great roll.
Here's
but
the
if I
thing.
roll with Aaron, he's 6'4" and 200 plus. I'm not doing that with him. I'm just gonna sit there and see if I can
Yeah,
control him.
yeah.
Because my whole game is if I can control this big guy, I'm good in the absolute. And that's what I want to know. I want to be able to control. If I can get a sweep, maybe an advantage off him,
It's
great.
like, yeah.
I play different games with different people.
I want Hannette to weigh in on this.
Okay.
My number one critique of Anthony is he's too passive.
Okay.
His game is like, hey, I'm so relaxed
Yes.
down here, And it's like, if you're rolling, and I know if you're rolling and you're in like hour 2 of rolling, I know you're being really passive because
Yeah.
you can't be busting your ass out there for 2 hours, right?
Yeah. Right.
Now, Hannette, is that doing him more harm than good? Are you developing a bad habit? Like
Yeah.
just because
Am I?
you're just kind of like that last hour, you're like, okay,
I would say you compete the way you train. And if you
Yeah.
that, because that was one of my problems when I started teaching, kind of going more into the teaching and a training with my students, because then I will put myself in a position like I cannot go 100%. I always I'm always careful. I always wait to see what the person is giving to me. I'm never going 100% at first.
Right.
I always wait for the person to give me. It's an exchange of energy.
Sure.
If the person is giving me something harder, we're going to roll a little harder, but it will depend what the person is giving to me. But for a while, every time when I roll with my students, because I will always be very passive and let them work in their positions too, and then I will escape. So when I went to compete, I was playing exactly the way I was training. So that's the problem, because then you're not training your ability. So let's say you're not putting yourself on you're still on your comfort zone.
Sure.
So you never go you never challenge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? So it's for me I have a good story about this too. We do a lot of specific trainings, and we have this guy in our school. We call him the Beast.
Okay.
The Beast.
shout out to the beast.
The Beast. We love you, the Beast. But he's a very this big guy. He was a purple belt at the time, but he's talks to you like this. Shake your hand like this, but it's his style. Very nice guy, but it's very shy and very quiet, and he's super strong, right? So every time when I go with him, I said we're doing this specific training, back position. So someone will start in your back, and then we'll switch, attacking, defending. And then he started on my back, and I said if I just defend the position, if I don't allow people to try to choke me, I will actually not be able to defend, because for me it's easy to the person just put the hands here, I'm starting just to do my escape. Mm-hmm. But that's not helping me to challenge myself. So I said I need to take this up a notch, right? I have to maybe put more challenge to this. So I said I would just allow this guy to go get the choke, and then I will start escaping.
Sure.
And then he was so strong. He just like, put me to sleep. And then I woke up, of course, like in another planet. It was like, and he's like, please don't kill me, Hannette. And I was like, oh no, no worries, the beast. But then I'll kill him. Yeah, I killed him. But no, he's like a nice guy. But because I feel like that's how you challenge yourself. If you always train this way, you always a very passive.
Right.
Once you you need that aggressiveness, it won't be there. Because you're not you're not trying anytime.
Right.
So you always in this kind of a state of the person gave me something, I would work with this, but.
Right.
It's
That's what I do find that in competitions. That I
Zito, what is the number one thing you say after you compete?
I didn't go.
I wish I had more time.
More time.
I wish I had more time.
See, the thing is, I've said this a million times.
So what did we learn here today?
I'm like a long distance runner, and I need to be a sprinter.
But I'm a long distance runner too. Actually, I'm a sprinter in the real life, but I'm in jiu-jitsu now. I consider myself I go one step at a time.
Yeah.
I'm not going super hard in the beginning. I'm going but it's
So I actually need to turn it up a little bit.
you have to have
a sense
a
of
goal.
urgency.
Sense of urgency, right? Yeah.
You have to have a goal. So if you have a match, which is a 6 minutes match,
5. Mine's are 5.
Five,
so
exactly.
Short.
So short. So you have a short time to apply, to put your game there, right? And if you just allow the person to, to work with what the person is giving to you,
Right.
the time will fly,
It does.
and you're not going to be able to, accomplish your goal.
Right.
So, I feel you have to sometimes, you have to be a little. And your partner will benefit from this too, because he will have to work harder in your positions as well.
Right.
Understand? But you you kind of pushing your pace a little more, and not just waiting for the person what the person is giving to you. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, this is all good stuff for this year. So I got to work on. I know I need to do it. It's just a matter of doing it. It's just I'm very methodical and I think a lot about every position I'm in because I'm little, so I'm easily Paul can ragdoll me anytime he wants. So I need to really be focused on technique, and I focus a lot on my technique being right. When I get someone in there, you're not going to get out of that position. I really want to keep you in that position and then work my technique for an arm bar or triangle or whatever. So, but sometimes I need to just go a little bit.
Yeah,
faster.
you do have you have to you don't want to be a jerk to your teammate, right?
No.
You don't want to go super
Right.
hard, but you have to kind of the way I think is like I said in the beginning, for me jiu-jitsu is I'm putting myself in a better position to accomplish my goal. What's my goal is the submission. That's my main goal, to submit the person. If I have 10 matches and I can finish 9 ahead of time, that's much better, right?
Sure,
I have a much more energy for my last match. So I feel if you start training, thinking about I'm going to pass, or I'm going to I'm starting on the bottom, you guard player, I'm going to sweep, I'm going to go to the top, I'm going to get a good position, a side control mount position, or if I'm in the guard, I'm going to pass the guard, I'm going to secure position, and then from the mount or from the back or from the side control, I'm going to go for submission. Just to have this set goal is not only to be there, because that's the problem I was facing with my students, and my student actually lost the worlds because of this, because at the time she had to react, we practiced the position many times. It was a guard pull, so the person will stand up and then you go for a takedown. So it's kind of I jump to your guard, I'll be with my guard closed around your waist, you stand up, right? So you're standing, and then I'm going to lower my legs, I'm going to cross so I'm going to hold the person's back, and I'm going to put the hook. One foot will be on the ground. One hook will be behind the person's leg, kind of going for a takedown. So we trained this many times, and at the time she needed to use it, she didn't use it. And I was Mickelson, why you didn't use this position? You had it there. And she's I was not very confident.
Yeah.
Understand?
It happens.
Yeah, so I feel if you have, it's my professor always told me, at the time for the technique, you always practice the technique 100%. The time you need the technique, when you go to the tournament, you're going to have the technique 70, 80%, right? If you practice 100%, but if you practice 80%, when you need the technique, you might have 50%, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like you're doing the armbar, but you're not like, finishing, you're not like holding the position.
Right.
Once you go for the real submission, you're going to let go, you're going to give up on the exact same, like a place where you
Exactly.
you're going to do exactly the same thing as you doing, And
Yeah.
the competition is like a much more harder because you have the other part, the person, it's like competing against you. It's not like
Exactly.
you're not like exchanging. They're, competing. So like if you change, I feel like if you start just thinking like this way, will be like a big step on your game.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I got to roll with you a little bit too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
She's
that's a promise. You have to come.
champ.
Yeah, dude.
Who
You
would
gotta-
want to roll? And I've yet to roll with Kristen either. I gotta.
Oh man, the girls are
I see her at
tough.
every tournament. I'm like, we gotta roll because she's like my size,
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
awesome, and she's awesome black belt. It's freaking
Yeah.
great. She's strong, isn't she?
She is strong.
She looks really
She
strong.
is strong. My goodness, so
looks strong.
flexible
Yeah.
too. So flexible.
Choke him out, Kristen. If you're listening.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, where can people find you?
So on my Instagram, Hannette Staack, my Instagram, Facebook.
And can you spell your last name for people if they don't
Yes.
know how to spell it?
First name, Hannette, Hannette. Last name, Stack, Staack.
Beautiful.
Beautiful name. Not so Brazilian, but
Yeah, that is
Right.
very
It's
a nice
Brazilian.
name.
What's going
Yeah.
on with that? And no nicknames?
now I have like a many nicknames,
Do you?
man. Oh my goodness. So
Give us one of
but
them.
like the most, like the biggest one's
How about
Netch.
world champ?
Yeah.
How about that for a
Yeah,
nickname?
I like that. I like that.
What's the one that most people?
Netch. Because in Brazil, my name's Hannette.
Annette.
Hannette. So it's like people don't pronounce the H in Brazil. So it's
Yeah.
like a silent. So Hannette. So the abbreviation Netch.
So they don't pronounce the H and the R's are H.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? So weird.
The H isn't an H, but the R is an H.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But some people go back and forth because people say, Rickson. Some people say, the
Yeah.
English version of that. Even
Right.
if they're Brazilian, they still say,
But I see that more from the Brazilians. Royler and Rickson.
Yeah, I see
that.
that.
And then all the Americans are like Hickson, Hoyler, Hoyce, you know what I mean? It's like they're trying to accommodate us and we're like, no, it's cool the way it is, you know?
It's true, right? Like when I did like an English course in Brazil, and like one of the things like I learned at the time was like, you don't change the names. And when I came here, is like I tried to pronounce my name Hannette, and people like, what? It's like Hannette. It's like Hannette. Oh, Hannette.
Oh,
Yeah. Also like to spell it. People like if I say Hannette, people like I will write without the H. So I had to kind of but I said like no, this is not true. Like people they have to change their names a little bit. Which is
How do
fine.
you
It's fine. I
say-
had people calling me Hannette in Brazil too.
do you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you say Paul in Portuguese?
Paul.
Okay.
Paul,
Paul.
Simple.
just like a pole.
Yeah.
P-O-L-E.
Paul.
That's it.
Paul. Paul.
Is it?
In all languages.
And Anthony in Portuguese is, I don't even
Like
know if it is.
Like Antonio.
Antonio, right?
Antonio.
It's also the same.
Uh-huh.
Spanish,
Antonio.
it's all the same. Italian.
Yeah.
Latin.
How do you say Grappler Union in Portuguese?
União de Grapplers. I would say like grapplers in Brazil too.
All right.
União de Grapplers.
That's right. That's who we are.
Yeah.
And your website is,
HannetteStackBJJ.com.
so you have your own website too?
Yeah.
Besides Brazil 2-1?
Yes, I do.
I didn't know
It
that.
needs like some update though.
Why would happen?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
just I have to change it's like old information, just like updating everything. It's like I have for a long time, but I feel like it's time to just give some update.
Yeah. Well, now like 4th degree.
Yeah, exactly,
that's awesome.
exactly. And who knows, by the end of the middle of the year, maybe I can add one more world title.
Why not?
That's
That's right. That's right. If you need any extra training partners to train,
yeah.
just call me up. I'll be
I
there.
will.
You'll have
man.
to update our website.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah, if you need a website updated, we can do that too.
I'm
We do
wondering
that.
nice.
how many guests come in here just to get their website updated by you. They're like,
Nice.
We've done a lot. We've done a lot
Really?
of websites. Yeah. It's
Awesome.
I
mean,
don't really
it's
want to
awesome,
do
though.
the show, but I heard he updates your website if you do it. I
That's a
suppose
plus.
I'll go
That's a
in.
plus. It's like I did the podcast and they also fixed my website.
For Bruno. Bruno's our web developer, and he also does all the editing for the podcast. And he listens to all the episodes. He's like, yeah, okay, I guess I know the website to do. I'm like, yeah, Bruno, it's all right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anthony and Bruno have been very good to the jiu-jitsu community.
Yes.
in that-
Bruno
in that
also does
regard.
jiu-jitsu?
You know, he doesn't. But he started.
How come?
I try to get both my employees, but they're into now boxing. So they're doing boxing, which is cool. I mean, long as they're
Yeah,
moving, that's great.
that's true.
However, I can't get them to use a standing desks. I have a standing desk, no chair. Those two, they won't. They tried it for a little. Bruno never tried it.
Yeah.
Dorothy did try it, and she was like, "No, I gotta sit down.
I'm
I
with
can't
them,
stand."
man. My back starts to hurt if I stand still
I
in one
can't. I
place.
can't sit down. I have to be like at
Really?
a standing desk. I don't sit down all day. Standing desk.
No way.
Yeah. I enjoy it. It doesn't bother me. Doesn't phase me a bit.
But that's might be good for the back too. Like, then you
I just
have
feel like you're just sitting down in that chair. You just get too
Boring.
soft.
Posture gets all messed
I don't
Too
up.
know.
soft.
It's too soft. I mean, I drive a lot, so I'm always sitting in the car. So last thing I want to do is when I come back in the office is like sit down. Like I just want to stand and just now to me it's totally normal. I've been doing it for years. It's great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So-
What the heck?
It's exciting. Let's end on that high note.
Yeah.
And that, thank you for
Now I
coming
have
out.
to thank you
This is
guys for
awesome.
inviting me. That was
Man.
amazing. Thank you so much.
That was worth the wait, Hannette.
Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I'm glad that you're episode 67
7, yeah.
as opposed to episode like 5 or 4.
Right.
Because we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's good.
Kristen, for putting you through that in the beginning.
She was
But I mean,
great.
like, I have to thank you guys for believing in the community. Like, a lot of people they will start a project like this and they not continue or something like this. But I feel like we need people to spread the word about
Sure.
the community, especially being a local, in Chicago, and you guys are really promoting our community, and I feel like this is a great way to go.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Giving back to the jiu-jitsu community. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right? This episode of the Grappler Union Podcast is brought to you by BJJTees. Go to bjjtees.com, enter the promo code Grappler Union, and save 10% off all your jiu-jitsu apparel. Go to bjjtees.com today.
This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Strychnine Jiu Jitsu, makers of vintage-inspired tees, hoodies, and rash guards. Go to strychnine.co, that's STRYCH, the number 9.co, and use the promo code UNION at checkout to receive 20% off your online order.